Hello, so I thought I'd put together a video that I think I would have found really useful when I was first diagnosed with Crohn's disease back in 2017. When I was first diagnosed, I wasn't really told a lot about Crohn's disease by my doctor. And in fact, I was first told I had Crohn's disease shortly after my colonoscopy when I was still in the anesthesia room. Obviously, I was still very sedated and under the influence of quite heavy drugs. And I'd actually forgotten that I'd been told that I was diagnosed with Crohn's. Later on in hospital, I was visited by the doctor and he gave me a leaflet about Crohn's disease and told me to go on the Crohn's and Colitis website and read up about it in my own time. So to provide some guidance and assistance for anyone who's been recently diagnosed with Crohn's disease, I put together 6 points based on my own experiences that I think you should follow. Firstly, find a consultant that can work with you. When you're first diagnosed, you basically have the ability to shop around for consultants online. And you want to find someone who's experienced. They have experience dealing with people with Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, and they've been doing it for a relatively long time. Someone who's up to date in the latest medical practice. That's especially important in areas such as inflammatory bowel disease, where it's so fast moving and there's new medications coming out all the time. And finally, someone who understands you. You want to work with a consultant who knows where you're coming from, knows what your beliefs are in regards to medication and surgery, and knows what your lifestyle is. For example, if you're someone that likes to go out and have a drink, there's no point working with a consultant that's going to tell you you can never have a drink again. Secondly, I'd say look around for a nutritionist or a dietitian. Doctors will tell you that diet doesn't affect Crohn's in any way, and it might not heal Crohn's, but it definitely does affect the symptoms. And what I found through working with nutritionists is there's a bunch of dietary and lifestyle practices that really did affect my symptoms and make my life a lot easier to live. A good nutritionist will help you find not only the foods that are making your symptoms worse, but also the lifestyle factors that are leading you into flares. And lots of the daily practices that I follow, such as yoga and meditation and breathing and chewing my food properly, come from working with nutritionists. A free tip that I can give you is definitely keep a food diary when you're first diagnosed. Find out what foods cause you to flare up, and specifically remove gluten and dairy for about a month and see how your body reacts. Thirdly, I think it's important to understand that this disease will change your life. When I was first diagnosed, my doctor just told me to carry on living as I had been living, and he actually told me to go out and drink 10 pints if I wanted to. And despite my biopsy showing that I had borderline celiac disease, my doctor told me to ignore that and carry on eating gluten for the time being. This basically meant that I was in a flare for the first 2 or 3 years of my disease as I followed my doctor's advice and carried on living the way that I had been living, going out drinking, eating whatever I want, and living the way that my friends were. However, I should have really understood that I have a disease, which means I have to change the way I live to ensure that I can be healthy and actually enjoy my life. So you'll need to be mindful of your diet, your rest, and other lifestyle factors to make sure that you can carry on doing what you want to do, just with small alterations. So for instance, if you're going on holiday with your mates, you might want to book your own room so you know you're getting adequate rest, and you might want to look ahead and see what restaurants you can eat at so that you can avoid foods that you know are going to make you ill. Number 4, you want to do your own research. Like I said, you aren't really given any practical information by your doctors, and I think it's important to leave no stone unturned in making sure that you feel better. I've tried all sorts of things since I was first diagnosed to try and make myself get better. Like I said, I've worked with nutritionists, I've been to a reflexologist, I've done loads of yoga and mindfulness in an attempt to sort of calm my body down. I found some things that work and some things that definitely don't, but I think it's really important to leave no stone unturned and try and find out why you have the disease and what you can do to help yourself deal with it. I found it really helpful to find other people who have Crohn's or colitis and pick up tips and tricks from them to find out how they are dealing with their disease. I think given that the advice that you receive from doctors is basically always just, well, there's this medication and we've got to wait until your body reacts to this medication until you might feel better, it's really important to try and pick up some anecdotal advice from people who live with the disease and have been through what you're going through. And it might just be little things that they get 8 hours sleep every night, or they avoid eating a certain food, or they do a certain exercise. But if that can help you, then it's definitely worth trying. Point number 5 is let your friends, your work, your school know that you have a chronic illness. You will require support, and they can't help you if they don't know. Using my own example, I was studying a law degree when I was first diagnosed. And at first, I didn't really let the school know, but I was missing classes, I was missing exams, and I was really falling behind because of the Crohn's disease. But once I let them know, they provided me with loads of support, allowed me to defer my examinations, and finally finish the degree. On a professional level, I also didn't tell my employers for the first 6 months that I was struggling with Crohn's disease, But once I did, once again, they provided me with loads of support and actually gave me a month of sick pay to try and get myself better. Point number 6 is embrace the Crohn's and colitis community. Like I said, for the first few years, I really kind of ignored it. But since I've thrown myself into the community, I found so many people who are so inspiring. And I've also learned loads from their anecdotal experiences. I really think that with this disease, there's loads to be gained from peer-to-peer support. And sometimes it's really helpful just to be able to speak to someone who understands what you're going through and can offer you any advice. So don't be afraid to jump onto YouTube or Instagram or Reddit and find other people who've got Crohn's disease and just pick their brains. Try and find out how they live with the disease and what they do to make it manageable. I hope you've really enjoyed this video and found it somewhat informative. And if you have recently been diagnosed with Crohn's disease, I hope this gives you a framework along with your doctor's advice on how best to move forward. If you have just been diagnosed with Crohn's disease, then I wish you all the best, and please feel free to drop a comment or get in touch, and I'll try and help you in any way that I can.